Jimmy. And how long you been doing this? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, wait a minute. We live already. Don't went live on me already. So I guess it's all good.
Let's roll.
I've been doing this for probably about the podcast itself.
Yeah.
It's been a while, quite a while. But I started taking it serious. I just recently started taking it seriously and start, trying to get more guests. That's the hardest part, is getting the guests.
Yeah, a lot of people want money and deposits and all that jazz.
Yes, I had Stevie Ray on, but he didn't want to talk about wrestling.
That's weird.
Yeah, he wanted to, and I get it. He wanted to. I guess he felt like you said, with the money thing, he could have people tune into his show. Yeah, I'm like, it don't make sense. He's like, then he said something like, everybody heard these stories before. I'm like, my audience hasn't heard the stories before, but it was okay. 2 hours of non-wrestling talk, so it was cool. I'm still honored that he even came on the show, being who he is and everything.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
No worries.
But guys, welcome back to another episode of the No Anonymity Podcast. I'm your host, Jimmy. Today we got a very special guest, pro wrestler, actor. You know what I'm saying? Doing this thing from Ventura. Is that how you say it? California?
Ventura, California. Yes,
Ventura, California. Yo, Bo Cooper's in the house today. How you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great, Jimmy. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate
yes, sir. Hey, I saw how you got the name. Must be how you be busting those boys down in that ring, the Brawlin. How did you get that name?
I started off when I was, green under a hood called the American Hangman. And that was just to get my experience, because I trained for like 2 years out of the School of Hard Knocks out here in California, and under the influences of Jesse Hernandez and Bill Anderson. And I had a baby face growing up. I had long blonde hair shaved on the sides. I had a baby face, even though I was a big guy. I started wrestling under a hood, got a couple years of experience. And then there was a town that we went to at the fairgrounds. I was actually living in the Antelope Valley. And I thought to myself, well, I'm the hometown, kid hero, as you would call it, in wrestling. And I said, what if I called myself the AV Brawler? And I used that for maybe a good year, just, around that area, because they were doing TV tapings at the time for Empire Wrestling Federation. And I called myself the AV Brawler. And then, once that venue no longer had shows, I said, hey, I like the name Brawlin, Brawler. So I was called the Brawler Bo Cooper. And I thought, it's a little generic. Why don't I just call myself Brawlin Bo? And then that's the way it stuck for the last like 20 something years,
Okay. And how long you been wrestling for? Almost 20 years now?
Well, if you take, my first match was in 1997 and I retired 2 years ago. So how many, I'm terrible at math, man. You got to do that. 26 years, I guess, in the business, not including the 2 years I trained. So I started training when I was 14, 15, 16. Yeah. So I trained for about 2 years and a half, I guess. And then I had my first match at 17, and I never stopped. I had a couple injuries that prevented me from, obviously wrestling every weekend, but I never took like more than a year off. And I try to really just go as far as I could with this, with the business. I've done a lot, but I never made a lot of money. That's the hard part.
Yeah, that's the thing. Have you ever thought about trying out for any of the federations?
I did some extra work for WWE a long time ago, like in 2003. I did a security gimmick, at the pond, and I had a tryout match with Bruce Pritchard. He looked at my work and gave me some pointers and stuff. That was like in 2006 maybe. So it's been a long time. It's funny that you asked that, because I wrote an email today to AEW because they're always looking for extra work for security / bodies and stuff like that. And a good friend of mine passed me the talent agency's director for AEW's email. So I sent him a nice little email and, hey, if it opportunity arises, that'd be fun. If not, it's all good.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I just want to see my friends, man. I haven't seen my friends that have started AEW, like the Bucks and Scorpio Sky and all those guys in a long time. So it'd be cool if I ever got the opportunity to go and work with those guys and say what's up. Yeah.
I've done a little wrestling here in Phoenix for Lucha Libre Vaz. That's how I started. That's what I actually learned how to do, is the lucha style, flipping and doing all that stuff. crazy. I'm like, I'm too big to be flipping, but they're like, nah, you need to learn how to flip. But
no, some of my funnest times were when I only went twice, but I loved when I went to Tijuana and wrestled, at the auditorium out there, and being in the ring with legends like Super Brazo, or the Super Brazos, Super Porke, and Los Brazos. Sorry, not Super Brazos, Los Brazos, and then Super Porky was part of them, and then I was doing the whole doink gimmick at the time, just because for some reason they thought I'd look like an awesome big doink, which was ridiculous. But I remember me and Honky Tonk Man and Parato. No, it was me, Honky Tonk Man, and Parato versus Los Brazos, and that was awesome, man. I mean, I love the Lucha Libre energy. I mean, I got trained, with Lucha because when I started, there was a lot of guys that were, going back and forth to Mexico, like Bobby Bradley and like, Vic Victory and all these guys that were just luchadors that were teaching me, the right way to do it rather than the American style. So I learned both, which is awesome. I mean, I love it. I mean,
I never got a chance to learn the American style. I wrestled American wrestlers, but I never learned the proper techniques for American.
So do you lock up left?
Yes. Yeah.
And you do your arm drags like left as well.
Yep, everything. Yeah.
That's cool, man. Who trained you?
Chano Jr. His father is a well-known luchador in Mexico. Okay. And passed it down to him, and then he trained me. I worked with Manny Halcon, Pacao, Rudo. It's a bunch of guys here in the Phoenix area that I was able to work with, and also headline a bunch of shows. I was known as Legend, Leyenda in Spanish. At the mask and everything. It was awesome, man. It was a good time.
How long you been doing pro wrestling? How long you been in lucha?
When I started, I did it for like 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
Are you still active, or you kind of took a step back?
I get invited to shows. Promoters invite me to shows now and then. But I took a step back. Yeah, I just turned the big 50, which it doesn't have anything to do with it. But I said I always wanted to go over. Oh, thank you. I wanted to go over to Japan and wrestle at one point.
Well, that's a dream for a lot of guys, man, and it's brutal out there. I never. I mean, not to take away from the passion, because legacy of Japanese wrestling, I should say, Puerto Rico. That's amazing out there, and the legendary guys that have gone and made a mark on the industry, from Americans, to go to Japan and then leave their legacy is amazing, But I never had the passion to go to Japan just because I can't stand friggin' flying, man, and being on a tube for 24 hours almost, on a plane would just drive me crazy.
Long flight. The promo that you shot for, I think it was your last match with what was his name? I can't think of his name, but it was an awesome promo.
Dirty Ron McDonald, or was it Judge?
It was I'm trying to think. I'm looking him up now. Money guy.
Oh, that was not my last match. That was GQ.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was okay. So Ryan, he's one of my best friends, man. GQ Money.
Yeah.
He's doing very well for himself in the WWE. He's working with NXT brand, and he's, teaching the guys how to really have characters. And that's an important trait in this business, not just your in-ring work, but your out-ring work with a character. Right. And Ryan GQ, 11 years ago today, man, 11 years ago today, we wrestled for a career versus career match out here in Simi Valley, California. And it's one of my fondest memories, man, because, he gave me the honor to say, hey, I'm going to better and bigger things, but I'd rather go out with a memory of wrestling you. And that was just a tremendous honor, because he's generally one of the coolest dudes in the world, bro. And his talent, he was very energetic, and he's very, very like flamboyant. And what's cool about Ryan GQ Money is that, like, even though he's very small in size, he makes up for it with everything else he does, because every match that he's ever had, he does something that fans will remember. If it's like a cool gimmick, or if it's a funny moment, or if it's a spot where like you're like, oh shit, I've never seen that before, and it dawns on the fans that this guy obviously has something special, because he's very rememberable once you watch his matches. But yeah, we had a great match. We tore it up, and I still talk to him, and he's doing really good out there. So I'm proud of him.
Yeah, that was awesome. I said, this is TV worthy. The way you guys shot that promo, very professional. Thank Everybody you. On point. Yeah, I love that. But I want to ask you a question. I asked Stevie Ray this question about professional wrestling. When I looked at you, I said, this dude's a wrestler. Because I grew up looking at Hulk Hogan, I got Macho Man shirt on, Ultimate Warrior, that era of wrestling, right?
Yep.
When you could look at a guy and tell that they had so many different type of archetypes of wrestlers. Now it's like everybody look the same. Man.
Yeah.
Like they all look the same to me. Man.
It's funny because when I did my tryout match, Bruce Pritchard, there was a couple guys that were like on the show, and King Mabel, and like, I want to say, was it Kane there? I forget which one was like the main event, but I was, I'm 6'3", 380 pounds right now. And I was a little less weight back then, but I was medium sized. You got guys that are giants, and guys that are just more. And I appreciate the compliment saying that I look like a wrestler, because I have gotten that. Which is, I tried my hardest to have a presence of looking like a pro wrestler.
Right.
Even though I've never had the muscles and the baby oil and the tan tone body, my presence of being in the ring or even outside the ring, I felt was noticed just because of my size, and my look. Obviously, I'm covered in tattoos, tattoos on my head, knocked out teeth, big burly beard and stuff like that. But yeah, like you said, man, it's a whole nother generation of how wrestlers look now. Back then you got maybe a couple cruiserweights like Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, guys like that, Rey Mysterio. And then you had your guys like Taker, Kane, King Mabel, even Hogan, Diesel, all the big boys, that we all grew up watching. And now you go into a locker room and there's probably not one person over 6 foot, and it's just, it's different, it's a whole different generation, but
yeah. And, Stevie said he liked it, but to me, I think it kind of took away from, like, we had Andre the Giants, Paul Orndorff, we had Kamalas, we had even the muscle guys, Dean Malenko. We had so many different type of archetypes of wrestlers. That's what made it fun to me,
of course,
as opposed to now it's like everybody's like
the same
horse jockey size.
Horse jockey, that's a good word. Yeah, no, it's true.
But I don't know. Or maybe they trying to head it in a different direction, or maybe guys just not built like that anymore.
Right.
No. That's why when I scanned across your page, I said, "That's a wrestler." That I want to talk to guys like that who remind me of the wrestling that I grew up watching. You had so many different characters of all types of different wrestlers. Everybody didn't look the same. Everybody had a different look and different move.
Right.
So that's what. Yeah. That was
I appreciate the compliment on that, man. I really do. I got told that many times in my career. I reminded a lot of fans of like One Man Gang or Bam Bam Bigelow. That's an honor in itself, just to be in those guys' class or remembrance.
Right. Now, how did you get started? How did you make a transition into acting like that?
Well, my father was an actor. He recently passed away a couple weeks ago. He never did anything. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. He never did too much crazy stuff, but he always was around the lifestyle of the celebrities. He had a way with words, and he had the gift of gab. He was a New Yorker, and he played a lot of poker, and a lot of celebrities just for some reason took to my father, and he was best friends with like Charlie Sheen, Sean Penn, Glenn Howard, all these guys, the list goes on with how many friends he's had, in the business of the acting world. Just from my look, I have a friend named Brett Wagner. He used to be in the pro wrestling business under UPW. He was the big swag. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's actually bigger than me, taller than me. I'm fatter than him. We always make fun of each other. But he got me into a couple acting gigs, just because he has that biker look. And he said, "Hey, we could use a couple guys as an extra if you want to do." I said, "Yeah, I'm down." And I met a producer or director, writer named Thomas Churchill, who is a great guy, and he's thrown me in a couple of his horror films, so which is really, really neat. I haven't done a lot. I've done probably, if I had to guess on maybe one hand, five films. So, but just being a part of the acting world is fun. I mean, right. I don't know if I have the patience to go full blown into acting, because it's really hard work, and I'm not saying I'm lazy, but I never had the directional path to take as a full blown actor.
Right.
I almost say, hey, if it comes to me, amazing, but I'm not going to go out and do a million auditions and wait for my callbacks and hopefully get the role. But I need to start doing more, though, because I have another friend who is getting a lot of gigs, and he's SAG. So, and he's telling me, he's like, "Dude, you got such a great look. You need to like go for like the prison roles, the biker roles, and all this other acting gigs that you see on the big screen." But my main, if I was going to do acting full more on than just part-time, I would go probably. I'd want to do the horror scenes and being involved in horror movies because I love horror.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with you got spots like Tubi. They presented so many opportunities for producers and writers and directors to come on there.
Yeah, I feel like any movie is on Tubi nowadays.
Yeah, and a lot of those guys shooting them with iPhones, like shooting good quality movies with the iPhone, putting them on there. So yeah, a lot of opportunities with that. What I was going to ask you, have you ever wrestled a luchador before? Had a match, full-blown match?
Oh yeah, many. I mean, I wrestled Chimera. He was Chimera. I'm trying to think of his name. What was his name in WWE when he managed Alberto Del Rio? I can't think of his name. I'm terrible with names.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I mean, I wrestled Bobby Bradley growing up. He was a white guy, but he was very, very known in Mexico City, and he used to wrestle all over. Super Bunny, I can't pronounce his name in Spanish, but it was like Super Bunny. But yeah, man, I wrestled a lot of luchador guys. I mean, like I said, I went to Tijuana twice. I wrestled Los Brazos. That was awesome. The brothers, the arms. Los Brazos means arms. In the ring with Super Porky. God rest his soul. I was only like 20 at the time when I wrestled him, but man, he took good care of me. Yeah, I mean, I've wrestled a lot of lucha guys. I just can't. I mean, a lot of independent guys. I've wrestled like Mysterioso.
Oh wow, nice.
Ray's uncle, or Ray's cousin, I think it is. Los Chivos. I don't know if you know who they are.
Los Chivos. No, I haven't heard of them.
Yeah, they're great. They're brothers, man. They're really well known. Yeah, I mean, it would take me a minute to think about all the guys that I've wrestled, in the hoods, but
yeah,
I've definitely done my share of being in the ring with luchadors.
Now, when I was looking through some of your matches, I couldn't tell if you were the bad guy or your opponent was the bad guy.
I've been both, man, heel or face. It just depends on the crowd, the promoter.
That's what. I
apologize, my kid's yelling in the background.
Oh, no, that's fine.
My baby girl's one, man. She just talks and talks now, but I prefer being a face, believe it or not. I like to get the crowd energetically behind me and get the pop. But I've done heel many, many, many times. It depends on the promotion, what the promoter wants. It depends on. I mean, I've been, for instance, man. When I first started, getting my feet wet, I wrestled Honky Tonk Man a lot, and we would be in different towns, and we did like a couple tours together, and he would wait till his music hit and listen to it and heard the crowd, and he would look at me and go, "All right, man, put the heat on me," or "All right, man, I'm putting the heat on you," because he would hear the crowd whether they reacted or booed him right off the bat. Yeah. So I had to flip the script right then and there, standing at the gorilla position, going, "Shit, man, what are we gonna do?" Oh, I keep cussing. I'm sorry, but shoot, man, what are we gonna do? And he goes, "Just relax. Let's hear the music first, and then I'll tell you you're the heel or the baby." And we just went out there and I listened to him. But it was great, man. I learned a lot from him.
Nice. Hey, I had the opportunity of meeting him, and we flew from. I think we were in. I know we were coming back to Phoenix. I think we had a layover somewhere, and he is the coolest guy ever.
Yeah, he's a great guy, man. I really owe a lot to Honky because I mean he took good care of me as a green guy, and I was just they put me with him for some reason, and I was just and we became good friends. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but I used to hit him up on Twitter and chat with him and stuff. I think someone took over his Twitter. It's not him anymore. It might be, but no, he really is a good guy. And it was funny, man, because like one time I was so excited and I was firing back on him, and he was like, "Man, you're not going to give me a comeback, are you?" And he just kicked me and took over and just gave me the shake, round, and roll. And he's like, "Slow down, kid, next time." And I was like, "All right, no worries." Out of all the legends, not to toot my own horn, but I've worked with a lot of guys like Snuka and I've worked with Honky and Gangrel and Sabu and all these awesome legends. But when it comes to being fun and cool in the ring, Honky was the best.
Yeah, Honky Tonk is we talk wrestling for hours, man.
He lives out there in Arizona, right?
Now? Yeah, he lives out here, and we just chopping it up, talking. He's like, "You could be big, you could be," and I also rode the plane with Mick Foley, and he gave me a lot of good advice.
Nick was one of the nicest guys I've ever met. He was definitely cool. He told me when I was doing my thing just to relax and have fun, and go out there and stay calm and cool, and I did. And Mick's one of the most down-to-earth guys too, man. I mean, he's always been super nice. I met him twice, but he was always a good dude.
Yeah. Somebody said, "I love me some wrestling, old wrestlers and new wrestlers. My favorite is Ric Flair."
Rick was in some hot water recently. Did you see that?
I saw that. I didn't get the full story, but I saw that. I said,
he was just being He was just being Flair, man. He was, having probably one too many cold beverages, and at a place, and someone told him he was cut off, and he's like, "Who are you going to tell me, or who are you going to tell? I'm Ric Flair, blah blah blah." And God bless
Yeah.
his.
Yeah.
He can drink, man. I heard he, from I've never met him, but well, I have met him actually when I was a kid, just saying hi and passing at a WWE show or WWF show, but I never actually got to chat with the dude. But from what I heard, man, he could like party all night, drink all night long, and probably some other things, and then wake up in the morning and just go into the gym and sweat it all out and be ready to go.
Hey, I always tell people this story about my first wrestling show backstage. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go back here. We're gonna have Gatorades and protein shakes, and this is what I'm thinking in my head. I go back there, we got everything but that.
Everything but that. Bunch of sweaty middle-aged men, with wrist tape everywhere and trash. And,
hey, cooler full of beer. We back there chilling and talking what we about to do and our spots. And I'm like, oh, this is what it's like. I said, okay.
Yeah, no, you'd be surprised, man, how many wrestlers like to have a few on before they go out, which
yeah.
Yeah,
but we definitely took care of each other. One more thing I want to ask you, because I know you're busy. You got anything coming up with movies? You got anything new coming up?
I don't have any gigs with movies. I have a movie that I did that's still waiting to be produced. It's done, it's wrapped. But it's been almost like a year now, but things take time. They got to get investors to fund the movie, get companies that'll say, hey, we want this to be actually done on the big screen, or we want it to go straight to DVD. So things like that take time. Nothing too big coming up in the pipeline with actual movies, but I did get a little opportunity coming up in September to do something for a company called Mask Republic. It's a lucha based company.
Okay.
I'm just gonna probably go out there and get the crowd hyped, because it's going to be at a big horror convention, which I work for a company called Trick or Treat Studios, and I'm a sales guy. I'm a sales rep for my shoot job. And it's basically revolved around everything horror. We sell masks, costumes, action figures, purses, wrapping paper, everything, from all the crazy horror movies that are out there. We take the licenses, we make the actual replicas of like the Michael Myers mask, for instance, and we sell it to stores, mom and pop shops, record stores. But my point is, the Mask Republic show, they're going to have, it's Lucha Libre, and it's going to be at the convention center. So I said, hey, I definitely want to be involved since I'll be there. So they said, we'll get you involved, Bo. So we'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Now, are you still active wrestling out there, or are you taking some time off?
My last run was with XPW when they came back to California after being gone for like 17 years. Rob Black came back and he started running shows, and I was there at the right place at the right time, and they needed a guy to open up the show, and I did it, and we had a good match. Silas Young and me tore it up, and Rob said, hey, you want to continue to keep going, or are you done? I said, let's go. Let's roll with it, man. So once you get that spark back, because I was out of the business for maybe 3 years at the time. I mean, I wasn't retired, but I just didn't care, and I didn't try to get bookings anymore. I wasn't trying to actively go out of my way to wrestle anymore, because my body's shot. I'm a big guy, and my back is really messed up from 20 years of doing this, and it takes its toll on me. I'm always in pain and stuff like that. But long story short, I had a good run. It was about a year with XPW. I'm thankful for the opportunity that Rob gave me for the opportunity to wrestle, and I missed being in the ring, and it was a lot of hardcore matches. I mean, I was in there with guys that were bleeding everywhere, and I like that type of stuff. I mean, as you can tell on my forehead, I got my marks too. But when it comes to being old, I was like, man, I'm feeling this more than ever. So and plus, not this last April, but the previous year, I found out I was going to be a dad. So I got the opportunity to retire in the ring on pay-per-view and say my goodbyes to the crowd, and it was awesome. So
nice.
Yeah, of course you're always going to miss. You're going to miss it, man. I did it for more than half my life, so I do miss being around the business and being involved. But I have a ring in my garage, so if I ever want to just get out there and sweat, I can do that.
Nice. Do you think that wrestlers have more freedom and more control in the independent level as opposed to being in the big leagues?
Yeah. Of course. I mean, you could tell the promoter, hey, I don't want to do that. And he'll be like, well, what do you want to do? But you can't really open your mouth too much when you're signed under contract, because, the boss or the people that are in power of a big corporation, are going to tell you what they want to make their product better, rather than I'm sure you can come up with ideas and run it by them, but I don't think you have that much say so unless you're a
Right.
top dog,
Yeah. One thing I liked about the people I was wrestling with, he said, I want you to pick your own name. I don't want to give you a name. And I was like, why? He said, because if you leave or you want to go do something else, that name stays with me. That character stays. I said, oh, okay. So I just took my time, figured out a name, said, this is what I want to do. So they put me on with that. You own your name as well, right?
What's that?
Your name is unique for you, right?
Oh,
Nobody
yeah.
owns that
Yeah.
name.
I mean, I'm sure there's Brawlin or Brawl at the Brawler, someone chose no, but I mean, I've never heard of another Brawlin something. I mean, I like them. I don't use the G. I used to use the BRAWLIN. So.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah. Yeah. Now those hardcore matches.
Root and tattooed, man.
Yeah. Those hardcore matches, are those who determines what weapons or what style you guys gonna bring to the ring? Is it both of you together, both guys, or the promoter?
When I was in XPW, which is a pretty hardcore federation. I mean, they take their death match very serious, and they have done a lot when it comes to bringing extreme wrestling to California. That I think they were like the first company, because they had there was ECW on the East Coast, and then XPW came in 1999, I want to say 1998, and they were doing the tables, barbed wire, thumbtacks, chairs, back then. And now the deathmatch wrestling has just elevated to craziness. I mean, you got like gusset plates, you got, guys. I saw a clip the other day, man, of some dude was tied up on a board, and they took a nail gun and shot through his skin. And I was like, yeah, that's a little too much, man. I'm down with, yeah. So to answer your question, there's a lot of props that were available, and I think you kind of had to just realize where you were on the card and just say, hey, I want to go out on the second match and use 50,000 light tubes, because that's for the guys that are the main event. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if it's a promotion that the fans are expecting to see that type of matches, you got to just, talk to your opponent, figure out what you can still do to get yourself over and not take it away from the guys that are up or the top. You know what I mean? So I would always use, not saying I wasn't ever at the top, but I would use chairs a lot. I love my thumbtacks. Tables are always fun. I've done light tubes. I was just never a fan of, just getting hit constantly with them. Not that I'm scared of them or anything. It's just, I like I said, I save that for guys that's their full-on gimmick to do just death match. My way of wrestling, if I could say the way I want to do it, would be I like to have a nice match at first, and then incorporate a weapon or two, and then continue to wrestle, and then go into towards the end of like using all the weapons. Does that make sense? Yeah,
it does. Now you weren't a cutter. You weren't one of those guys, right?
So what? Like what?
You weren't a cutter, right?
I mean, I've bled my fair share.
You bled it, okay, from the thumbtacks and stuff like that. But I'm talking about like ECW style.
You can see. I mean, I don't know if you can see them, but
I see them.
I've bled my fair share of getting some juice.
There you go. Yeah, the Madness. The ECW opened up a vast door for those extreme matches that they have out.
Right. Yeah, they were the originators.
Yeah, they took a lot of flack too. I think they were based out of Jersey or something, right?
Philadelphia.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And then did Vince buy them out?
Yeah. At one point, I know that they folded, just due to probably financial. Paulie dangerously folded the company, and then I think that the popularity of ECW was being shown by fans, yelling at even at WWE shows so much. Vince probably said, hey, why don't we rebrand this, or not rebrand it, but let's give it another round of a go, and it wasn't the same. You try your hardest, to incorporate guys that are, doing this 24/7 rather than guys that are doing it maybe like 2 times a month. And there's nothing wrong with that, because ECW had some of the hardest badass workers in the world. But, I think that when they try to mix the two, just the styles clash a lot. So, you got to just have it to where it's one type of show, you know what I mean? Rather than like mixing so much WWE, so much ECW together. And it just kind of like was not the same, But that was just me watching it from fan point, I guess. But.
Yeah, from a fan point. Do you think promoters would be wise to listen to fans like, hey, this is what we like, this is what we want, and keep feeding the fans that?
I mean, I would think they would be smart enough to do so. I mean, that's if without the fans, you don't have a promotion, you know?
Right. Yeah. They had a good show that used to come out. I can't think of the name of it. It's called Lucha Libre.
Underground?
Yes. Whatever happened to that?
I don't know, man. I was trying to get booked on that for a while, and
man,
yeah, I don't know what happened. I heard that they were doing good, and I saw the show product, and it was fun to watch, and I don't know.
Yeah, they had some good athletes on there as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. How many federations is it out there where you're at? Is it several?
Man, I'll tell you, bro. When I first started in this business, there was maybe like a good 3 that were solid in California, and the 3 or 4 that were like, you know, good, that would elevate you, because if you got the chance to work for just those federations, you know, you could then branch out and say, hey, I've been a champion in this place, I've been a champion in that other promotion, and blah, blah, blah. And then you'd want to go and move on to like Northern California. Then you want to work your way up. Now anyone can be a promoter, and there is probably, if I had to take a guess, in just Southern California, I would say like 30 promotions. Yeah, it's a lot, man. And I don't know half of them nowadays because I'm old and bitter and I don't give a shit.
Wow.
But no, it's one of those things where there's a lot of guys or people that just say, hey, I can be a promoter too. And then they don't really know what they're doing. And I'm not saying that every promotion's like that, but there's just a lot of companies now that just rent a building, rent chairs, rent a ring, and throw guys together, and that's it. And then they don't probably draw well, and then they fold. And it's like, okay, you know, but if you're going to be a promoter, you know, that takes a lot of time, takes a lot of money, and it takes a lot of dedication, you know, to actually run a good, solid federation, you know, if you want to make it. But
you got to know the business of wrestling in order to do that.
Exactly.
Even here, it was a lot of, you know, we have a lot of federations here, and they clashed at one time, like legit. But once they started to get together and they figured like, hey, we can't be scheduling both our shows on the same day because it's gonna make fans pick. So they started to work together, and now the business is growing even more. The shows are better, it's packed out a lot. Lucha Libre Boss, we got another one here. Lucha Libre, what's the other one? I can't think of the name of them. But we have a lot out here in Arizona. You ever been out to the Phoenix area to wrestle?
Yeah, I have. I went to I want to say it was Rowdy Wrestling. Those was years ago though. Rowdy Wrestling Federation. I wrestled Snuka out there. I wrestled Honky out there. I wrestled. Gosh, who was it that I wrestled? Tom Brandy was out in Arizona at one point. I mean, I trying to think of the promoters' names. I mean, I wrestled. I know one of them was Rowdy Wrestling, but like I said, this was like in 1999, man. So I haven't been to Phoenix. I haven't been to Arizona since then. It's been a long time, you know. But yeah, I knew Arizona always had a good. Navajo Warrior was out there at one point. I believe, you know, he had a promotion, I believe. I don't know if he still does, but no, I think he's with WWE now. But I think Arizona has always had a good, you know, place for wrestling, and they had some good promotions. I don't know about now. Like I said, I don't really keep up too much with the independents, you know. I'm pretty busy, but what would you say is the biggest one out there right now if you had to choose a promotion?
Whoa, the biggest one out here now. What is the name? I know Lucha Libre Voss is still a pretty big one. We have what's the other one? It's so many. I'm trying to think of the name. I don't want to leave anybody out. Lucha Libre Pierre. I think that's the name. I can't think of the name of them, but got so many out here now.
Cool. That sounds like there'd be a couple places for guys that are really trying to get work, you know.
Yeah, they got work every Sunday. They got matches here every Sunday, every Saturday. They do stuff. A lot of good wrestlers here. Yeah, nice. But I appreciate you coming on such short notice too and getting right back to me. A lot of guys, you inbox them, they're like, "I'll get back to you," and never get back to you, or like you said, they want money and. Yeah, you know, I had Stevie Ray on. He didn't want to talk about wrestling, which was so ironic to me. I'm like, why you don't want to talk about wrestling? That's what the show is for.
What did you guys talk about?
Everything but that. I think we're talking about politics, and he talked a little wrestling, but not too much. He didn't want to talk.
I don't do the whole politics, man.
Yeah. I'm like, you know, he didn't want to really talk.
Easiest way to get into an argument and lose respect for someone is politics. You know?
Yeah, or religion. So,
yep.
And you talk about, you know, stuff like that, but I wanted to ask
I got a question for you, just out of curiosity, man, Jimmy. Yeah. How did you just randomly find my profile and say, hey, you know, like you said, I look like a wrestler, you would love to interview me, or were you a fan of mine, or did you like happen to just check out some of the matches I've done in the years? Or I'm just curious.
I saw I saw a video clip came by. I think Kelby posted something on his page. He's always posting something on his page.
Kelby Klein, the kid.
Yeah, that's my guy. Yeah,
he's a nice kid.
Yeah, he is a nice kid. He posted something, so I went in and said, "Oh, this a real wrestler." So I just went through your profile and reached out.
Thanks,
that
bro.
way. Yeah, I got a line of other wrestlers coming on too, different wrestlers. I had Anarchy's on here. He's a luchador. So just wanted to get both sides. We talked more about lucha libre style with him, and I need an American style wrestler to come on here.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You know, the American style wrestling, which I never got a chance to learn the proper way, but you know, it's all good.
As long as you tried, man, that's all that matters in this business. If you try, you know.
Yeah.
And if you have fun with it, because I mean, if you're not having fun, then what's the point of doing it? You know, unless you're just trying to make money. And I believe some of the best wrestlers aren't that type. You know, if you really truly love the business and you're doing it for fun and for, you know, a career, that's the best combo, right? That, you know, that you can have. Because if you're just there to make money, you won't last probably, you know.
Yeah, no. I saw a lot of guys.
You have to have passion, you know, for something. If you don't have passion and you don't love your job, you're just going to be miserable, and they're going to realize that, and they're going to let you go, or you're going to quit, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw a lot of guys doing that. Coming with merch. I'm like, nobody even know you. And it's like your first, second match. What are you doing? But okay. They wanted to make money because I didn't get paid. Like I said, I reached out to a lot of companies. I always wanted to be a wrestler. And when I first moved to Phoenix, just give it a short story right quick. I saw an ad in the paper. I said, let me reach out to this guy. I reached out to him. He invited me to the show, Lucha Libre Boss. He said, I'm going to put you on will call. Come to the show. This all through, we were talking back and forth through email.
Nice.
And he said, you got the height, you got the build. You know, I want to, you know, let's try you out. But everybody else that I was talking to, they wanted to, you know, to go to wrestling school, it costs money. It's not free. You have to pay. So he told me, he said, hey, I'll teach you how to wrestle, but you got to stay with me for a whole year. Can't go anywhere. I said, because like you said, it wasn't about the money for me. It was just about a childhood dream that I wanted to fulfill. And I did it, and I had so much fun. And even when I got paid, I think I still got the money that I got. I think it was like $25, but
yeah, no, I mean, you earned it, man. If you got, you know, the opportunity to have a guy tell you when you're ready. And that's something where I take a lot of pride on, because like I said, I trained for a long time, and I was so eager to have my first match. I almost was getting pissed off because I was like, when am I going to wrestle? Because I saw guys that were, you know, training lesser time than me and getting matches. But I think my trainers knew that, you know, I don't want to say they saw something special in me, but I think that they saw that the better I, you know, train and the harder I train, the better product they're going to have when I finally do have a match. And you know, and I thank them for that now, looking back, because man, 2 years of training was brutal, and I was getting frustrated, but I thank them because, you know, I was ready when I got in that ring. I was full on ready around. And I had a good first match, man, you know. And sorry about the noise from the dog.
Yeah. Same with me. They took care of me. I had a really good match. In my first match, I was a headliner. I'm like, oh shit. But I came out with other guys that was already, you know, vets in the business, and we had a 3-on-3, and it was an awesome show. Even my first 3 matches were headliners, and it was a good thing, man. It was a great experience. Yeah. Especially the fans afterwards, especially the kids. And I was a Rudo, which was a bad guy.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I had a lot of fun, man. Hey man, I appreciate you coming on the show. You want to shout out your social media handles, anything you got going on?
Yeah, man. You guys can follow if you want on my Instagram. It's just at Brawlin Bo 13, BRAWLIN, Bo Cooper. That's Brawlin Bo 13, no Cooper. Yeah, same as Twitter, just Brawlin Bo. I don't really do a lot of Twitter anymore. I used to a lot, but not anymore. Instagram's the best spot. So anyone that wants to see some pictures of my daughter, some wrestling, some horror, and just regular lifestyle, man, you can check out my Instagram, Brawlin Bo 13.
Brawlin Bo 13, cool.
Yeah.
Where can they get your movies at if they want to check out some of the movies you did?
I'm in a brief second in the horror movie called Candy Corn. Josh Hasty was the producer and director. That's, you know, fun little horror Halloween film. There's a movie called Amityville Moon. I'm in the bar scene there. That's a horror movie as well. I'm trying to think of another film. I mean, like I said, I've done a couple, but nothing too spectacular. But if you do follow me on Instagram, I'll keep you guys posted to see if there's any other films that I'm going to be a part of. So,
all right, cool, man. Hey, I appreciate your time. You coming on.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Anytime you want to come back to the show, you're welcome, man.
Appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. You sound very professional, and you sound like a good guy. So I thank you for having me to have the opportunity to come on and talk wrestling.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time, man. Have a great weekend.
You too, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Let me click you on. All right. Thank you guys for joining in for another episode of No Anonymity Podcast. Great talk on professional wrestler, actor, wrestler, the Brawlin Bo Cooper. I'm gonna have all of his links and everything attached to the bottom of the screen, to the YouTube, and you'll be able to go over there if you want to ask him any questions about wrestling. Until next time, peace, love, and I'm out.